Hi, I'm Dustin Saldarriaga with Scott Legal PC in New York City. We've recently posted a few videos about the popular TN visa, which is a great option for nationals of Canada or Mexico to live and work in the United States. One of the most common questions we get is whether the TN visa requires that the employer sponsor the TN employee. In this video, we'll get to the bottom of this question, and specifically, we'll take a look at what responsibilities the TN employer has. Spoiler alert, you might be surprised to learn that the employer's responsibilities are minimal. To quickly review, the TN visa was originally created through NAFTA, the North American Free Trade Agreement, as a way for Canadian and Mexican professionals to more easily enter the US to work for an employer there. Those who receive a TN visa can remain in the US for up to 3 years at a time while working for the employer, and as long as they stay eligible, there's no limit to the number of times they can renew their TN visa. So let's say that you have a company in the United States and you've been looking for a graphic designer who can really refresh your company's image, from its logo to its website and printed marketing materials. One day you come across a talented graphic designer from Canada who would be a perfect fit for the job. A TN visa seems to be the best way to get the person inside your company, but before you make an offer, you want to know what responsibilities will be put on you as their employer. Well, your main and really only responsibility as the employer is to put in writing your offer of employment to the prospective employee. In order to apply for the visa, the worker will need to have a letter from you as their employer. They'll bring that either to the port of entry if they're Canadian or to the consulate if they're Mexican. The letter should make it clear that they have an offer of employment from you and what their job duties will be. The letter should also say how long you intend to employ them. Usually this is limited to 3 years since that's the maximum length of the visa. The letter should also say how much you intend to pay them. It's also good to include background information about your company, the candidate, and why they're a great fit. The letter will need to have your original signature. The border officer won't accept a copy. And the letter should also be printed on your company's letterhead, which should have your contact information. When your prospective employee goes to their interview, either at the border or at the consulate, you'll want to make sure to have your phone on hand, since there's a chance the officer will give you a call to make sure the offer's legitimate. And that's it. If they're approved, your new graphic designer will enter the US, arrive at your office, and will be an employee just like any other employee you employ. You should pay them the required wages as required by local and federal law, but there are no additional obligations that come with employing a worker on a TN visa. But hold on, isn't there some requirement that you first advertise the job to US workers? Not with the TN visa. There is no requirement to first post the job or notify your US workers if you're hiring a worker on a TN visa. Also, there's no requirement that you pay a prevailing wage like there is for the H-1B visa. And if the TN employee either quits or is terminated, there's no requirement that you notify the US government or that you pay for the employee's transportation back to their home country. Also, unlike the H-1B visa in which the employer must pay the application fees, there's no prohibition on the employee paying for the TN visa application fees. It's for all of these reasons that we say that the TN visa doesn't require that the employer sponsor the employee. Applying for a TN visa places a minimal burden on the employer. Really, the most work the employer must do is to sign a letter confirming the job offer. Now, many employers are concerned that the employment letter is a contract that the government could enforce. We've handled many TN visa applications and have never seen the government turn around and enforce the terms in the employment letter. While there's a chance that a disgruntled TN employee could try to use the employment letter if they feel the employer didn't abide by it, we also haven't seen this happen in practice. Keep in mind that the employment letter is usually written in a way that makes it clear that it's for the specific purpose of helping the employee receive a TN visa, not to create additional constraints on the employer. For example, the letter would typically say something like, the employer intends to employ Shirley as a graphic designer for 2 years in TN status. This language wouldn't create an obligation that the company must employ Shirley for 2 years and nothing less than 2 years. Shirley would still be an at-will employee who can be fired at will as long as that's otherwise consistent with the terms of employment. Now, if the employee is applying for TN status within the US by filing a change of status application with USCIS, for example, the employer would need to sign the application form, which is called the Form I-129. This form will ask for certain details about the company, but the questions are not particularly invasive or difficult to answer. And again, as with the employment letter, completing the form neither creates additional employment obligations for the employer, nor does it impose any of the additional requirements that are usually associated with sponsorship. As you might have noticed, the TN visa is truly one of the simplest and most straightforward visa options for Canadian and Mexican professionals, and for the US companies that want to employ them. There's good reason why it's one of the most popular visas among our clients. We hope this video was helpful. If it was, please help us out and click the like and subscribe buttons below to stay updated on future videos about visa options and travel to the US. Thanks for watching.